My friends, hear me carefully today. One of the greatest frustrations in life is not your enemies, it's your friends who change. You see, some people are faithful to your history, but not to your destiny. They love the old you, not the becoming you. And if you don't understand that truth, you will spend your life chasing people who were never assigned to your future. I have learned, and I want you to learn this early, that loyalty is not love and presence is not purpose. There are people who will walk with you for years, but the moment you decide to grow, they disappear. They were not loyal to you. They were loyal to the version of you that made them comfortable. Every season of your life reveals a new circle. And when God shifts your season, He also shifts your associations. Listen carefully. Some people were sent to your past, not to your purpose. They were necessary for your journey, but they are not qualified for your destination. And if you keep dragging people who don't belong to your next chapter, you'll delay what God is trying to do in your life. Loyalty, true loyalty, is not proven by time. It is proven by purpose. Some of you think longevity equals loyalty. Just because someone has been around for years doesn't mean they belong in your destiny. There are people who have been sitting beside you for decades but have never truly walked with you in purpose. Loyalty is not about being around you. It's about being aligned with what God placed inside you. Now, let me tell you the painful truth. If you have to chase loyalty, it was never genuine. Loyalty cannot be demanded. It must be discerned. You don't beg people to stay in your life. You recognize who is meant to be there. Because when purpose is clear, relationships become clear. Purpose will always expose pretenders. Some people left not because they were evil, but because they were finished. Their assignment in your life expired, and you must have the courage to let them go without bitterness. God will never send your next until you release your last. The moment you stop chasing loyalty, you make room for alignment. And hear me, alignment is more powerful than affection. Affection is emotional. Alignment is eternal. Affection says, I like you. Alignment says, I'm called to you. And when you understand that, you stop measuring relationships by how much people say they love you and start measuring them by how much they understand your purpose. So today, I want you to start asking a different question. Not who likes me, but who's aligned with me. Because your destiny doesn't need fans, it needs partners. You don't need more people around you. You need the right people beside you. The painful truth about loyalty is this. Not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. But don't be discouraged. Separation is often the signal that elevation is near. When God wants to promote you, He will isolate you from what's familiar so He can align you with what's eternal. Stop mourning over who left and start preparing for who's coming. The ones who walked away may have removed themselves, but the ones who are assigned will be drawn by purpose. You don't chase them, purpose attracts them. Because when you know who you are and where you're going, the right people can find you without explanation. That is the painful truth about loyalty, and it is also the beginning of freedom. Now let's go deeper. Because understanding the nature of loyalty is the key to protecting your peace. Loyalty is not just about being around someone. Loyalty is about being assigned to someone's purpose. Hear me. Real loyalty is covenantal, not convenient. The word loyalty comes from the old Latin root that means to be bound by law or obligation. In other words, it's not a feeling, it's a commitment to shared purpose. That means true loyalty is not based on how you feel about me. It's based on what we're both called to accomplish together. That's why, my friends, not everyone who likes you is loyal to you. Some people are loyal to your function, not your future. They're with you as long as you can feed their need, but the moment your season shifts, their loyalty expires. You must understand this so that when people walk away, you don't fall apart. You discern the difference between companionship and covenant. Let me teach you a principle. Companionship is comfort-based, but covenant is purpose-based. Companions enjoy your presence. Covenant friends protect your assignment. Companions like what you do for them. Covenant friends remind you who you are when you forget. One relationship entertains your emotions. The other one empowers your destiny. You must know the difference. Even Jesus demonstrated this principle. He had multitudes who followed Him, 70. He sent out 12. He trained 3. He trusted. And only 1 stood with Him at the cross. Not everyone around Jesus was aligned with His mission. And if the Son of God needed discernment about His circle, so do you. And let me tell you, loyalty without purpose becomes bondage. Some of you are holding on to relationships that no longer serve your growth because you confuse familiarity with faithfulness. Just because someone knows your story doesn't mean they belong in your destiny. You can't build your future around nostalgia. Loyalty that keeps you from progress is no longer loyalty, it's captivity. There is a kind of loyalty that drains you, a loyalty that demands your time, your peace, your energy, yet gives no return to your purpose. My friend, that's not loyalty, that's emotional slavery. You were never called to be everyone's rescuer. You are called to be a steward of your assignment. True loyalty always flows from shared purpose. That's why Amos 3:3 asks, can two walk together except they be agreed? Agreement there doesn't mean comfort, it means alignment. It means walking in the same direction, with the same vision, toward the same goal. You cannot maintain peace with people who are walking in a different direction than your destiny. So don't measure loyalty by proximity, measure it by principle. Some people will stand next to you on stage, but never stand with you in struggle. Others may not be physically near, but they carry your name in prayer every day. That's loyalty. True friends don't need your spotlight, they honor your assignment. Hear me well, when purpose governs friendship, loyalty is automatic. When purpose is absent, loyalty becomes negotiation. If someone must be convinced to stay, they were never committed to the mission. But if they're truly aligned with your calling, they'll endure correction, discomfort, even distance, because purpose holds them stronger than preference. So, from this day forward, stop asking who likes me, and start asking who's loyal to my purpose, because your life will always reproduce the quality of the relationships you allow. Surround yourself with people who recognize the call of God on your life, who challenge your growth, who refuse to let you settle for less than destiny. That's the nature of real loyalty, not emotional comfort, but divine commitment. Now listen carefully. Everything God created, He created for a purpose. Nothing exists without intention. The chair you're sitting on was designed for a reason. The phone in your hand, the clothes you wear, even the breath in your lungs, all have a purpose. So hear me, if everything has a purpose, then every relationship also has a purpose. And this, my friends, is where most people make the mistake. We choose relationships based on emotion instead of purpose. We say, I like them, or they make me laugh, but we never ask, are they aligned with my destiny? You see, affection without alignment leads to distraction. Purpose is the divine filter that separates who's with you from who's merely around you. When you understand your assignment, you stop connecting out of need and start connecting out of vision. You stop seeking company and start building covenant. Let me teach you the law of alignment. Where there is no shared purpose, there can be no lasting peace. That means when two people walk in different directions, they will eventually separate no matter how hard they try to hold on. Because alignment determines longevity. The reason some relationships break is not betrayal, it's misalignment. You are no longer traveling toward the same destination. Hear this principle. When your vision changes, your circle must change. Not because you hate anyone, but because purpose demands precision. When an airplane prepares for takeoff, the captain releases extra baggage. Why? Because every added weight increases the drag. Likewise, every new level of purpose requires you to release unnecessary weight, including relationships that no longer fit your altitude. Let me put it another way. Growth exposes misalignment. When God starts to expand you, He also starts to reveal who's really with you. Some people celebrated you when you were small, but they can't handle you when you start walking in purpose. They're loyal to your limitation, not to your liberation. You must understand this truth. Alignment is stronger than affection. Two people can love each other deeply and still not be meant to walk together. Why? Because love is emotional, but purpose is eternal. Love connects hearts, purpose connects destinies. You can have affection for someone who is completely misaligned with your assignment, and that affection, if unchecked, will become your anchor. Alignment simply means to walk in the same direction toward a shared divine goal. It doesn't mean perfection, it means agreement in vision. When people are aligned, they don't have to be pushed, they flow in the same rhythm. You don't have to beg them to understand your values, they already speak your language. Alignment simplifies your life because it removes confusion. And let me tell you something else. When you are truly aligned with your purpose, you will attract those who are assigned to it. Purpose is magnetic. You won't have to chase people. You won't have to force connections. Destiny recognizes destiny. Assignment recognizes assignment. But hear me, child of God, every misalignment carries a cost. Every wrong relationship drains the energy needed for your calling. Every misplaced loyalty delays your destiny. That's why discernment is a sign of maturity. The wise don't fight for every relationship, they filter every relationship. So here's the law. Everything that stays in your life must serve your purpose, and everything that hinders your purpose must go. Don't apologize for that. You were not created to maintain everyone's comfort. You were created to fulfill your divine assignment. When you protect your alignment, you protect your destiny. Some separations will hurt, but they are holy. Some rejections will sting, but they are redirections. When you let go of what's misaligned, you make space for divine partnership. God will never bring alignment to a cluttered life. Clean your circle, and your calling will gain clarity. So I say to you today, stop chasing agreement and start pursuing alignment. Because where purpose governs relationships, peace becomes permanent. Now that you understand the law of alignment, let me show you something powerful. Every relationship in your life will be tested by purpose. Purpose is the ultimate examiner of loyalty. You will never truly know who is with you until purpose begins to demand something of them. Testing doesn't destroy alignment, it reveals it. When you start to rise, purpose begins to ask questions that emotion cannot answer. The question is not who loves you, but who can walk with you when love costs something. You see, anybody can celebrate you in comfort, but true alignment is proven in conflict. Let me give you 3 divine tests that expose the truth about every connection. 1, the test of access. The first test is access. Who do you give access to? Your thoughts, your dreams, your vulnerabilities. You cannot give equal access to unequal people. Some people are not evil, they are simply unqualified to handle what's sacred. Jesus didn't share every secret with the multitudes. He reserved revelation for the few who could steward it. Be careful who has keys to your emotional house. If you open the door too widely, you invite confusion. Purpose requires discretion. The people who are truly aligned with you will treat your access as an assignment, not as an advantage. They won't exploit your weakness, they will protect it. 2, the test of correction. The second test is correction. Who can correct you without losing your relationship? The Bible says, faithful are the wounds of a friend. You know who's aligned with you when they love you enough to confront you. If someone leaves every time truth is spoken, they were never aligned, they were attached. Correction reveals motives. A loyal person doesn't just agree with your comfort, they safeguard your character. Beware of those who only clap when you're right, but stay silent when you drift off course. True friends risk misunderstanding to preserve your destiny. They care more about your becoming than your approval. 3, the test of silence. And the third test, perhaps the hardest, is the test of silence. Who remains when the crowd disappears? Who still believes in you when the noise dies down? Silence exposes motives faster than success. You'll discover that many people were attracted to your activity, not your assignment. They were drawn to the sound of your gift, not the substance of your calling. But when silence comes, when life grows quiet, when the spotlight dims, those who remain are the ones assigned to your purpose. Some of you are in a season of divine silence right now, and you're wondering why people have faded. Don't panic. That's not abandonment. That's alignment being tested. God removes the noise so you can see who's real. Now, let me remind you of a principle. You measure loyalty not by who celebrates you when you win, but by who intercedes for you when you fall. It's easy to clap when you're shining. It's sacred to kneel when you're broken. Alignment is revealed in adversity. When you pass these tests, access, correction, and silence, your relationships become refined like gold. You'll know exactly who belongs in your circle because testing removes the counterfeit. Every storm in your life doesn't come to destroy, some come to discern. So thank God for the tests. Thank Him when people walk away. Thank Him when correction offends the wrong hearts, because every exit clarifies your environment. Purpose doesn't lose in testing, it gains purity. And remember this, the people who survive your tests are the ones you can build within trust. Those who remain are not there by convenience, they are there by covenant. That's how you know who's truly aligned. Now hear me, evolution always exposes intention. Growth will always reveal who was really walking with you and who was just walking around you. Not everyone can handle the new version of you that purpose is producing. Some people loved your old season because it made them comfortable. But the moment you start to grow, you threaten their comfort zone. Let me tell you this, when you evolve, you don't just outgrow habits, you outgrow people. Not because you're better, but because your purpose has shifted to a higher frequency. And hear this carefully, every promotion demands separation. You cannot move to the next level of destiny carrying yesterday's attachments. When Joseph began to dream, his brothers started to despise him. Why? Because purpose always provokes jealousy in those who have settled. When you start to see more, talk bigger, plan deeper, those who have no vision will begin to resist yours. But don't be discouraged. It's not personal, it's prophetic. Their distance is confirmation that your dream is divine. You see, people don't always leave because they hate you. Sometimes they leave because they can't identify with who you're becoming. Your growth interrupts their comfort, and your change threatens their control. And when that happens, don't chase them. Thank God for them. Because every time someone exits, clarity enters. Listen carefully. Evolution exposes emotional contracts. Many people signed up for who you were, not for who you're becoming. They were loyal to your version, not your vision. And when God starts to stretch you, the ones who were tied to your comfort will begin to disconnect from your calling. But hear me, that's divine design, not disaster. The Lord will never allow everyone from your past to enter your future. Some relationships are seasonal scaffolding. They help you build the foundation, but they are not meant to remain once the structure stands. And if you cling to what God used only temporarily, you will miss what He is building permanently. Let me give you a principle. Growth demands release. Every time you expand, you must let go of something. The tree cannot reach toward heaven until it releases its leaves from last season. Likewise, you cannot step into your destiny if you're still nurturing relationships that expired in your history. And don't mistake movement for malice. When people walk away, sometimes it's not rejection, it's redirection. God is pruning your circle so that your fruit can multiply. You can't bear more while being entangled with those who drain your roots. I want you to remember this. Your evolution will offend those who refuse to grow. They'll call your focus pride, your discipline arrogance, and your obedience rebellion. But that's all right. They can only interpret you according to the level they stayed on. When an eagle takes flight, the chickens always complain about the wind. So stop apologizing for evolving. Stop shrinking to fit the comfort of those who chose smallness. Your growth is not a betrayal, it's obedience. You are not leaving them behind. You are following your assignment forward. And if they cannot walk with you in your next, bless them for their yesterday, release them from your today, and keep walking into your tomorrow. Because every departure creates space for divine alignment. When you evolve, you will lose company, but you will find covenant. You may lose attention, but you will gain assignment. You may lose comfort, but you will gain clarity. And that, my friend, is the proof that you are becoming who you were born to be. Now hear me, one of the greatest traps in life is chasing loyalty. When you start running after people to prove their faithfulness, you have already surrendered your peace. Loyalty is not something you pursue. It is something you discern. Because whatever you chase, you give power to. When you chase loyalty, you create idols out of relationships. You begin to measure your worth by who stays instead of by who sent you. That's dangerous. Some of you are exhausted not because of your assignment, but because you are trying to convince people who were never called to understand you. Let me tell you a principle. Any relationship you have to beg to keep is already broken. If you have to chase it, you'll have to maintain it. If you must persuade someone to stay, you'll have to perform to keep them. And performance produces anxiety. But divine relationships produce peace. When you chase loyalty, you shift from purpose to people-pleasing. You begin to lower your standards just to preserve someone's comfort. You stop walking by conviction and start walking by consensus. My friend, that's not loyalty, that's bondage. Never trade your calling for companionship. You must understand validation is a poor substitute for vision. Many lose direction because they're more focused on who's following them than on who's leading them. The moment you chase loyalty, you stop pursuing destiny. God never told you to chase people. He told you to lead by purpose. Some of you are holding on to relationships that drain your spirit because you're afraid of being misunderstood. But let me tell you, peace is not found in keeping everyone happy. Peace is found in walking faithfully with your purpose. There are moments when you must choose between being liked and being aligned. Choose alignment. Loyalty that requires compromise is not loyalty, it's control. If someone demands that you betray your values to prove your faithfulness, that's manipulation disguised as friendship. Real loyalty never asks you to shrink your purpose. It supports your growth. Let me illustrate this. When you chase loyalty, you behave like a servant seeking approval from your own guests. You spend all your time entertaining people who were only supposed to visit. They drain your table but never bring bread. Purpose is not built on keeping seats full. It's built on keeping motives pure. Hear me again. Chasing loyalty always leads to disappointment because it's built on expectation rather than discernment. When people leave, you feel betrayed because you made a demand that was never their duty. Stop expecting covenant from casual connections. Some people were never supposed to stay. They were meant to show you something and move on. And remember this principle. Peace is proof of purpose. If maintaining a relationship steals your peace, it's not aligned. You cannot have divine clarity while living in emotional chaos. That's why Jesus didn't chase Judas. He loved him. He washed his feet, but he never ran after him. Because when your heart is right, you can release wrong people without resentment. So child of God, stop chasing loyalty. Let God reveal it. When you walk in purpose, loyalty will locate you. Alignment will attract the right company. You won't need to beg for commitment. The ones assigned to you will recognize your call without explanation. When you stop chasing, you start leading. When you stop proving, you start producing. And when you stop begging people to stay, you make room for those who were sent by destiny to build with you. Stop chasing loyalty. Guard your peace. Protect your focus. And let purpose pick your people. Now that you understand the danger of chasing loyalty, let me show you how to build something far greater, purpose-aligned friendships. Because relationships are not built by accident. They are built by principle. Hear me. Purpose attracts its own company. You don't find true friends by searching for people. You find them by walking in your assignment. When you move in the direction of your calling, you begin to draw those who are designed to complement, not compete. That's why some of you have been frustrated. You've been trying to build friendship before discovering purpose. But friendship without purpose becomes fellowship without progress. Let me give you a law. Purpose is the foundation of all lasting relationships. If two people's purpose doesn't agree, their partnership cannot endure. You can have chemistry with someone and still have no covenant with them. Chemistry creates excitement, but covenant creates endurance. Chemistry attracts the flesh, covenant connects the spirit. There are three circles of relationships, and you must know who belongs where. First, they are the comrades. These are the people who walk with you because of a common enemy. They are not for you, they are against what you're against. Once the battle is over, they disappear. Never mistake comrades for covenant friends. Second, there are the colleagues. They walk with you because of a common goal. They love the mission, not necessarily the man. You can work with them, celebrate victories together, but when the project ends, the connection fades. They were never meant to carry your soul, only your workload. And finally, there are the covenant friends. These are rare. They are not bound to your performance, but to your purpose. They love you enough to challenge you, to correct you, to push you toward your destiny. Covenant friends will never compete with your success because they see your success as the extension of their own obedience to God. How do you recognize a covenant friend? They celebrate your growth even when it surpasses theirs. They pray for your destiny when others gossip about your progress. They protect your name in rooms where you're not present. They don't need the spotlight, they honor the assignment. Let me remind you, even Jesus had levels of friendship. He fed 5,000, trained 12, but confided in 3. And only one John stood with him at the cross. If Jesus himself managed his circles with discernment, what makes us think we can survive without boundaries? Some of you are tired not because of your calling, but because you have given too many people equal access to unequal authority. Purpose-aligned friendships require boundaries. Boundaries are not rejection, they are protection. They protect your peace, your time, your energy, and your focus. You cannot pour destiny into every cup. Some cups are cracked, some cups are full of poison, and some are simply too small to hold what God is pouring through you. So choose your circle with purpose. The right friendships will sharpen your vision, not blur it. The wrong ones will drain your clarity until you can't hear God clearly anymore. Be careful. Not everyone who smiles is safe. Discern alignment before you distribute access. Let me leave you with this truth. When purpose leads, loyalty follows. When you live for your calling, the right people will recognize their place beside you. You will no longer beg for commitment, you will attract covenant. And when covenant friends stand with you, storms cannot break you and success cannot corrupt you. Purpose-aligned friendships are not about quantity, they are about destiny. You don't need a crowd, you need companions of covenant. For destiny doesn't need numbers, it needs agreement. So today, I challenge you, build by purpose, not by popularity. Surround yourself with those who don't just walk with you, but walk toward the same vision God gave you. Because when purpose governs your friendships, peace becomes the natural fruit of your life. Now that you understand the power of purpose-aligned friendships, you must learn how to protect them and protect yourself through boundaries. Because, my friends, without boundaries, purpose will bleed. Listen carefully. Boundaries are not barriers. They are borders of wisdom. They do not keep people out. They keep order in. Boundaries are how you protect your peace, preserve your focus, and maintain your strength for the assignment ahead. Jesus himself was the greatest example of boundaries. He loved everyone, but he did not give everyone equal access. He fed the multitudes, taught the 70, trained the 12, trusted the 3, and confided in 1. Why? Because wisdom knows that access must always be measured by assignment. You cannot pour the same measure into every vessel. Not every vessel is ready to carry what you carry. Some of you are frustrated, not because your calling is heavy, but because your circle is crowded. You've allowed people who were meant to witness your life to start managing it. And when you give emotional authority to unqualified people, you lose control of your peace. Let me tell you a principle. Boundaries define stewardship. If you don't establish where your time, energy, and attention go, someone else will. Boundaries are how you tell life, this belongs to my purpose, and that does not. Without them, you will spend your days reacting to everyone else's emergencies while neglecting your own destiny. Boundaries also teach others how to treat you. People can only violate limits that you never clearly set. If you tolerate disrespect in silence, you train others to dishonor your value. Kingdom order demands clarity, not pride, but principle. And hear me, saying no is not rejection, it's protection. You're not saying no to people, you're saying yes to peace. Every yes carries a cost, so you must be wise with where you invest it. There are times when you must say no to invitations, no to gossip, no to draining conversations, no to relationships that disturb your focus. Because your peace is your power, and peace is too expensive to spend on confusion. Boundaries are also spiritual weapons. When you draw the line, you defend the garden of your mind. Remember, in Genesis, God placed boundaries even in paradise. He said, you may eat of every tree except one. That means order is a divine principle. Where there are no boundaries, chaos reigns. Let me tell you the truth. You can't control what people do, but you can control what you allow. You can't change how others act, but you can choose what you permit in your atmosphere. Stop granting front row access to people who only come to observe, not to build. Stop giving your energy to those who drain it and your time to those who waste it. When you establish boundaries, you don't lose relationships, you filter them. The right people will honor your limits. The wrong ones will expose themselves by crossing them. Boundaries don't break loyalty. They reveal it. So hear me well. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It's stewardship. Peace is the garden where purpose grows. And if you don't guard it, weeds of distraction will choke your destiny. Jesus guarded his time, withdrew to pray, and rested when others demanded more. Even the Son of God had moments when he said, enough. If he modeled that wisdom, so must you. So from this day forward, set clear boundaries for your time, your emotions, your mind, and your space. Because when your boundaries are strong, your purpose becomes unstoppable. Now that you've learned how to establish boundaries, let me show you the reward, the beauty, the blessing, the divine peace that comes from purpose-aligned relationships. My friend, when your relationships are aligned with your calling, life begins to move in rhythm. There is no longer friction between your assignment and your associations. You stop striving for acceptance and you start walking in agreement. Because when two people share the same purpose, peace flows naturally. You see, when God joins you with people who are assigned to your destiny, everything begins to multiply. Your clarity multiplies. Your joy multiplies. Your creativity multiplies. The Bible says, two are better than one, for they have a good reward for their labor. That means purpose-aligned relationships don't drain you, they develop you. They don't compete with you, they complete the vision with you. Some of you have spent years around people who take but never give, who talk but never build. But when you finally meet someone who's aligned, you'll feel the difference immediately. The conversation becomes uplifting. The atmosphere becomes fertile. You no longer have to explain your passion. They understand it instinctively because they were designed to walk beside it. The reward of alignment is peace without performance. You no longer have to prove your worth to stay connected. The relationship is built on purpose, not personality. You can rest in it, grow in it, and sharpen each other in it. That's what the Bible calls iron sharpening iron, not rust rubbing against rust. Purpose-aligned relationships also bring divine acceleration. One aligned person can do more with you than 10 unaligned people ever could. When you walk with those who are moving in the same direction, you don't have to pull, you simply flow. You don't have to beg for understanding, you build with unity. And listen to me, one aligned person is more valuable than 1,000 admirers. Admirers feed your ego. Aligned partners feed your assignment. The crowd may applaud you, but only covenant friends will help you carry the cross of purpose. There is also protection in alignment. When you walk with the right people, you inherit their wisdom, their strength, and their prayers. You are covered, not just accompanied. And when storms come, and they will, alignment keeps you standing. The wrong relationships collapse under pressure, but the right ones grow stronger in adversity. This is why you must never chase quantity, pursue quality. God doesn't build your destiny with crowds, He builds it with covenant. You don't need everyone, you need the right ones. So rejoice when your circle becomes smaller, because what remains after pruning is pure. And when you find those who align with your vision, value them, honor them. Protect that connection with prayer, humility, and gratitude. Because the greatest reward of purpose-aligned relationships is not what you get from them, but what you become through them. You become sharper, you become wiser, you become steadier in your purpose. You become more like the version of yourself God designed. That is the fruit of divine alignment, peace, power, and progress, without pretension. My friends, hear me well as I close. You were never designed to chase loyalty. You were created to lead by purpose. When you walk in purpose, you don't have to run after people. People are drawn to the fragrance of your destiny. The wrong crowd fades and the right company appears. Stop chasing loyalty. Stop begging for understanding. Stop auditioning for acceptance. You are not called to be a performer in someone else's play. You are called to be a producer in God's kingdom. When you rise in purpose, those meant for you will recognize you, and those who are not will remove themselves. You see, leadership begins the moment you stop running after people and start running after purpose. Leaders don't chase, they clarify. Leaders don't beg, they build. Leaders don't compete, they create. Your destiny is too valuable to waste on convincing people to believe in it. If they cannot discern it, they are not assigned to it. Every eagle must learn to fly alone before it soars with others. There are seasons where God isolates you, not to punish you, but to promote you. Isolation is preparation for elevation. When you rise to your true altitude, the air gets thinner. Not everyone can breathe where you are going. That is not rejection, that is design. Stop lowering your altitude to keep company with chickens. Stop apologizing for your wings. When you change levels, you will lose company, but you will gain clarity. Because when God calls you higher, He also purifies your circle. Some people cannot go where purpose is taking you. Let them go in peace. Let me give you this truth. When you stop chasing loyalty, you begin to attract destiny. Purpose is a magnet for the right people. The same God who called you to your vision will send those who are called to help you fulfill it. You don't have to manipulate or persuade. All you must do is remain faithful. Hear me, when you walk in purpose, you shift from reaction to creation. You no longer live trying to prove your worth. You live to produce fruit. The goal of leadership is not to be liked, it's to be effective. Jesus was not liked by everyone, but he fulfilled his mission. He stayed focused on his Father's business, and because of that, the world was changed. So stop chasing people who do not value your purpose. Stop running after those who left. They walked away because they were never assigned to your next chapter. If they could leave, they were not meant to last. Destiny never loses what it truly needs. Lift your head. Dry your tears. The people who belong to your future will find you walking in obedience, not waiting in despair. Stay faithful to your purpose, and alignment will locate you. And as I close, I speak this declaration over you. From this day forward, I will no longer chase what is leaving. I will no longer beg for what drains me. I will no longer fight for what God has finished. I will walk in purpose, and purpose will attract my people. I will lead by clarity, not by fear. I will protect my peace, guard my heart, and honor my calling. I will stop chasing, and I will start leading. Because the moment you embrace your identity, the moment you step into your divine authority, heaven begins to move resources, people, and favor into your path. You are not behind. You are simply being refined. So rise up, child of purpose. Walk with confidence. You don't need to chase anything. You are already chosen. And when the chosen lead, loyalty follows. That is the power of alignment. That is the peace of purpose. And that, my friend, is the freedom of a focused life.